Good morning, my fellow family, friends, and colleagues. This is your girl, Dr. Charity, aka the Queen of Divas, and I'm here to give you your weekly encouragement on today. Well, on this beautiful, gorgeous, it is a little gloomy as you can tell, but with all that, because of the rain and the storming last night, let me tell you something. Do you still see what I see? You still see the beam? You still see the gleam? You still see the glow? Though it's not as bright, don't you know? Then you already know what this is. You already know that this means that the blessing, the natural sun is still shining, even if he's not shining at his brightest. Which means there's still a blessing, even though the sun may not be doing the brightest. Might not be the brightest blessing, but it's still a blessing. It's still a blessing. Look, the fact that you're tuning in today is the blessing. The fact that you're alive today is a blessing. The fact that you got a place to stay is a blessing. The fact that you're able to eat is a blessing. The fact that you are healthy is a blessing. The fact that you have income is a blessing. The fact that you may have family, friends, colleagues, heck, even a spouse is a blessing. Because you gotta learn how to do it like me, like I'm learning, slowly but surely learning myself. Guess what? You got something that somebody else is looking at your life right now, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. Somebody looking at your life right now and wish they had even just a little inch of what you had. And while your brain is thinking that you're on the low end of the dipstick, the low end of the spectrum, guess what? Somebody else is looking at your life and saying, if I had just one bit. We're gonna touch on that. That's what we're gonna talk about today. But as I told you, if the natural sun is shining, then that means the spiritual sun as well. Him from on high, God from above, is shining spiritually, which means that's his favor. That's the next level. And that means his favor wants to shine through and in, wants to shine into and then through you. That's where your overflow is at. That's where the abundance is at. But the question to you today, are you ready? I'm just saying. Just saying, I know I ask you all the time, but I'm just drilling in your head because we're getting down to the nitty gritty. This is the ending of 2025 and about to go into 2026, and things are happening. I know it's happening in my life. I told y'all, I gave y'all the preview last week of what's happening in mine. We'll talk a little about that. I'm gonna give you a little testimonial about that a little bit more today. So with that being said, let's just dive in. I want to talk to somebody today. Um, those who are listening today, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. Anybody else feel like that they the black sheep of the family, black sheep out of the social group? Anybody feel like that? Anybody feel like they are Andre Benjamin, as Andre Benjamin, better known as Andre 3000 from out of the group, out of the rap group? I'm gonna bring it down to layman's terms. So for those who are less religious, anybody feel like him out of outside of the group, the rap group, Outcast? Anybody feel like that? Anybody feel like the Outcast? Not the cool one, the nerdy one. The one that people think is crazy, a little insane, but it's obviously, as we saw when Outkast did that duo album, Speaker Box and the Love Below. Guess who took all of the glory? Guess who got all the credit? The insane one. Andre 3000 made the best hits. Big Boy might have been the big boy. He was the big man that produced, but guess who got all of the awards and all of the accreditation? Andre 3000. So, anybody feel like that today? Anybody feel like they just an outcast? Black sheep? Okay, let me twist, let me spin this around from a different perspective. Let me ask in a different formation. Does anybody feel like that everybody else, I know I've asked this before, but I want to come a different way because I'm here to motivate and encourage somebody today that's listening. Does anybody feel like that everybody else, they look, they got theirs, but I don't got mine? But it just feel like, somebody watching me. Anybody feel like that? Anybody feel like even though you don't got yours, it just feel like somebody got all eyes on you? Anybody feel like that? Okay. If that's you, today, then guess what? You're who I'm talking to. You're exactly who I'm talking to. I want you to come in. Let me in. Let me in. Come here. Come here. Come here. While the sun is yet struggling to brighten up, I want to brighten your day. And I'm going to tell you exactly why you feel like that. Let me in. Tune in. Come on. So if I had to give this weekly encouragement a title, it would be simply, you are being watched. In other words, you're being looked at. You are being admired. So be the motivation. Let that resonate, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to say it again. You are being looked at. You're being watched. Be the motivation. When somebody says, well, okay, Dr. Charity, I'm a little confused. What the word do you mean by that? Okay, let me ask a question. I got to ask a couple of questions, Dr. Charity. What do you mean by I'm being watched? What do you mean, somebody physically watching me? Yeah, kind of, sort of. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so what do you mean by that? What do you mean by I'm being watched and admired? Ain't nobody watching me. You'd be surprised. I say that because you'd be surprised who is. A lot of times we go through life and think nobody even, because of how we look at our lives from our perspective and think so low down of our lives, you'd be surprised how many people on the outside is actually sitting there looking at your house and looking, trying to catch every glimpse of what happens in your house, in your life, just to sit there and do this number. If only I could, she doesn't know how good she has it. If only I had just a little bit of that, just, oh my God, I want to be like her. I want to be like him. You'd be surprised how many people is actually looking at your life and actually admiring it. But I'm going to go deeper in that. Come on. So somebody else may say, be the motivation. Okay, I thought you said this is about motivating us. This is how. This is to motivate you to motivate others, including myself. This ain't just to you. I'm motivating myself through this on today. But that's how you become motivated, is when you be the motivation. Come on in. I know you're a little confused. Come on in. Let me hear. Come on. So I want to just dive right into it. I'm just going to lay it out for you. So a lot of times, as I just told you, a lot of times we look at our lives, and because we don't have exactly what we desire, and we feel like God has forgot us and everything just never happened, we sitting there saying, so my life is a mess. My life is pathetic. Oh my God. Trust me. And honey, most of us as human beings do that. But guess what? I'm guilty. I've looked at my life and thought, can't nobody have it worse than me. But especially with me working in healthcare, you'd be surprised how many people I ran into. When I started working in my actual career field, it touched my heart how many people were worse than me. I remember working as a pharmacy technician. And running across a black young lady with the same condition as me that couldn't work, couldn't drive, already had a child and was pregnant with the second child, and she was just as depressed as can be. And the fact is, you sitting here working at the pharmacy, you just had your third child. Your third child ain't even barely 6 months old. You had third, not second child. You just had your third child, and you divorced, and you lost everything, and you working for the pharmacy, and you had to drop out of college just to go back. And the spirit told me to tell this young lady through while her mama was sitting there, because you could tell the look on that girl's face. She was just laying there. And you can tell the look on her face was like, I don't even want to be alive right now. This is wrong. I don't get to do nothing for myself. My mama got to do everything. I got my son. I'm sitting here pregnant because these dumbos out here that treat me like dirt. I went and gave her, I said, the spirit just told me to talk to her. I said, baby, look, just to let you know, you're not alone. That's all I told her. I said, you do realize the condition you have, I do have myself. I got to take medication to even keep myself out in the clear from me even having an episode that could traumatically impact my life. I said, just to let you know as well, I'm divorced. I lost everything. I'm just now working this job. Hey, I'm going to be going back to school and I'm going to be getting my license. I told her that so she could be encouraged. I said, by the way, you do realize I just had my third child, not even 6 months ago. The girl finally, she started to turn like, Dad, there's a woman, there's a black young lady. I said, you know I'm not even 30 years old, right? She just looked at me and she started turning like, there's another black young lady that knows what I'm going through. I said, just know that don't let life shut you down. You can do whatever you want to do, regardless of the issue, regardless of how many idiots out there took advantage of you. You just got to know your value and your worth and then press forward. You know what her mama told me? She said, thank you so much. She said, my daughter really needed that. I said, I could tell that she was not a happy camper. I could tell that this condition that she got has got her, and the condition already, because the condition that I suffer with, that epilepsy ain't no joke. That thing can be very depressing because you'll be surprised how it affects your life. And a lot of people do not realize, because you get to go to school and you get to do little doodads. If you got a severe course of epilepsy, that thing is very depressing because that can mean that you couldn't live by yourself. That can mean you can't have your own car. That means you can't drive. That means, hey, to some folks, I met a woman that said that her doctor told her she won't even able to have kids. The only kid she was able to have was a service dog because of how serious the epilepsy is. When people look at my life, the state of North Carolina even looks at me and says, the reason why we can't give you no disability, girl, you got such a normal life. There ain't nothing to give you. I mean, I understand that you're legally disabled, but we can't cut you no check. Guess what? You got so much of a normal life. Ain't nothing disabled about your life. But that's only because of the resilience. And that right there is what I'm telling you today of how you be the motivation. Because somebody looking, just like what I just told you, the lady, when she finally heard that there was another young lady in the same vicinity as her, she perked up, began to perk up like, you know what? Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. Maybe there's a way to get around this. Maybe there's a way to press through this. Maybe this can work out in my favor if I just, just maybe. And I said, there go your answer. There it go right there. There it go. There it go. Be resilient. I said, I'm not even supposed to be alive. Let alone I was never supposed to have my own place. I was never supposed to be able to buy a car. I was never supposed to get licensed, nor was I supposed to have children. Nor was I really supposed to be a professional healthcare profession. I wasn't supposed to be able to study that. Nor was I technically able to be even a college graduate in the field that I am. But guess what? All in all of that has been achieved by yours truly, Dr. Charity, by the grace of God. God gets the glory. I may get the credit because I pressed through, but God get the glory because he gave me the favor. He gave me the strength and the motivation to press through. That's what I'm telling you today. You'll be surprised who's watching you. Don't beat yourself down. I understand that you may not be where you're at. I'm not where I want to be today. But I want to tell you today, to know of who is watching you. There are people out there that even though you may think that you're in the lowest end of the dump, somebody out there is watching you and admiring your every step. And you'll be surprised who's out there not only just admiring, you'll be surprised who's out there actually trying to mimic your every move, trying to do everything just to get a little taste of what you got. So either you're going to have to do like my big brother said. Sometimes you just got to learn how to count it all joy, as out of the book of James in the Bible. Sometimes you're just going to have to count it all joy. I understand that life is not perfect all the time. Hey, sometimes in my life is miserable. But you got to realize also, I do try to remind myself that I'm living in areas of my life, in aspects of my life, I'm living areas that I'm not even supposed to have seen. Had it not been for the grace of God and my resilience and my faith, I wouldn't be able to even experience what I'm seeing today. I'm just saying. So that's why I'm saying you got to be the motivation, because you are the motivation. I'm motivating you on today to let you know that you are the motivation of somebody else. Somebody else is looking at you. I give another example. Today I'm just going to use myself as a testimony. I'm gonna use myself as a testimony. But let me give you a little insight. For those who says, okay, well, where is this coming from? So, because what you just decide to think about yourself this week? No, I meditated this week as well as I, slowly recovered from going out of town and taking that vacation. So, y'all got to pardon me. I was just getting my bracelet off the floor, but I had to get back in the mood. And when I got back in the mood, I did end up studying. I did end up studying. I did end up meditating. Finally got back in the area and ended up doing. And I listened in on Pastor Mike Jr. Pastor Mike Jr. said, you're suffering the way you are. You think you're just getting the low end of the dipstick. You think that, God just treating you like a black sheep. He giving everybody else the favor. He giving everybody else everything that they want and leaving you out. He said, but I'm here to tell you that's not the case. He said, God is doing it that way because you're the one. In other words, you're the example. God is using you to show somebody else that I'm God. You ain't got to do nothing. I can do everything. And God doesn't use the easy thing because guess what? He used the easy example. The person just prayed for it and got it with no work. God used that. Guess what? You ain't going to be moved by that. That's like saying, oh, well, if somebody said they can build a building and they build this little kitty house, you're not going to be amazed by that. Now, you're amazed when a man goes out there and build this 3-story house by himself. Your jaw going to be dropping. Oh, my God. But that little kitty playhouse, ain't nobody amused by that. And that's how God is. God ain't going to use a person that just got it. He going to use somebody that got a testimony. And a testimony is going to represent the trials. That's why he's testing you. As Joel Osteen said, you're going to get double for your trouble. The trouble is coming because God want to give you double. That's why he gives you trouble. He's using you as well as the motivation and the example to others to let them know how great is our God. He's using you so you can say, I sought the Lord. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. That's why I trust him. That's why I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. I trust in God. When he does the miraculous, I trust in God strengthens up. I know mine has. Does anybody need a little bit? Okay, I'll give you some more. That's just where my meditation, because Pastor Mike Jr. nailed it. God using you as an example. God ain't sitting there forgetting about you. He's saving. Look, God always saves his best for last. So just like I told you a couple of weeks ago, God ain't gonna give you just the house, or just the job or the promotion, or just the spouse. He about to wrap everything up in one big old fat bow. He ain't finna give you 5 different packages. He's going to give you one thing linked to everything else that you desire. And that's going to be the testimony to everybody else. That's going to be the motivation. But you, my friend, leaning in today, that's tuning in today, need to know that that's why you're being admired and looked at. They're waiting to see the testimony that is on your life, because there's a beautiful testimony on your life, regardless if you see it or not. It is on your life and it is available. And it may not be visible to you, but it's visible to God, and it's visible to those who you don't even know that's looking at you out there. So then you got to be the motivation. Fight through it. Fight the good fight of faith. Do it with no regrets. Fight through it. Remain strong. For in due season and due time, and your time is not later on. Your time, as I keep telling you down this whole year, your time is now. I told you, I came in this year I'm going to go back to my own testament and I'm going to sign it out. I'm feeling this right now. I told you, I came in this year in transition, but it has officially. I'm no longer transitioning. My life is officially changed. He's here. He's here. He's here. Y'all know what I prayed for. I told you. It's for my other half. I had that blueprint for everything else but the one. And God took me through an emotional roller coaster and brought me straight to the one. The one came into my life and all he did was said, you got to give me an opportunity. Are you going to give it to me? Do I have this opportunity? I mean, I can't promise you. I mean, I can only show you what I can do. I feel like what I can do is great, but I can't dictate what you're going to believe about it. But all I can do is show you. My question to you: there's one opportunity. There's one opportunity. So, with the one opportunity, can you give me that chance? That's all. So, let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an example and seal it out. So when I went on this therapist and training on the road, working on the road, vacation, I told a bunch of people about the one, about him. I'm going to reveal it to you who he is. But I already told you he's here. I'm no longer waiting for him. God has already delivered him at my doorstep. So when I went on this vacation, I told folks, you'll be surprised. I wasn't even expecting the response that I got when I went on that vacation. You'll be surprised how many times I got looked at and said, I want what you and him got. I really see, this is what I really like. I like what you and him got. Because you know what? I wouldn't even, with you, what you're saying, I wouldn't even be able to know and tell. I couldn't even tell if y'all were just met. You sound like y'all been together for years because of the bond and the vibe that y'all share. I said, well, I told one young lady, I said, well, it's because I believe that you bond first, initially, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The rest shall follow. If y'all have a natural vibe and bond with one another, there's no force. You do have to put work into it, but there's no force effort involved. You don't have to make it happen because guess what? God has already made it happen. While you trying to figure it out, he's already worked it out. So I'm telling you, but that example I'm telling you surprised me because I said, Dad, so even God wanted to use the bond, which the Spirit had already told me that weeks ago. Since you don't want to accept the ministry separately, that's fine. You said you needed a helpmate, right? Okay. Well, how about I put the ministry within your marriage? How about I let people look at you and him, and then your ministry is going to come through your marriage. So you and him going to have to live it up and live it right because you're going to be an example to so many other people. And when I went on a vacation and showed the pictures, it was amazing how many people admired our bond. So I'm telling you today, you're an example. You're an example. You're being looked at even when you don't believe you're being looked at yourself. So you've got to be on today. Be motivated. Be motivated to be the motivation because somebody out there is looking at you and wish they could have just a little bit of what you got. And what you got is a blessing and it's favor to somebody else. Be the motivation. Be it. Beginning on this week, go through this week. Don't just believe that you're the low end of the dipstick. Believe that you're the motivation for somebody else because God saved his best for last and you are it. So I love you. And I'm telling you, I'm going to remind you one more time as I sign off. You are the motivation. You are the example. You are being admired and somebody's watching your every move. Do it right. And God is going to give you double for your trouble. You're about to go into the overflow as I am. I'm no longer transitioning. I told you there's an official celebration date coming, and it's officially true that there's one coming real soon. So I'm telling you on today, go through this week knowing that you're the motivation, knowing that somebody is looking at you and they want what you got. And all you got to do is say, I sought the Lord. And he heard and he answered. That's why I trusted God, my Savior, the one. I'm not going to go in and sing no more, but that's what I'm going to leave you with. Tell him, I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. That's what you tell them through your life because they're watching you and you are the motivation. Well, that's all that I have for you on today, but tune in next week for another weekly encouragement and motivational. Please, I thank and appreciate everybody that's tuning in today that has. Please, if you have not, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to Lady Superwoman. That's at Lady Superwoman 9999. That's 4 nines at Lady Superwoman 9999 on YouTube for all of your weekly encouragements and motivationals. And remember going through this week that you are the motivation, that you are the example, and somebody is watching your every move. Live it right, because guess what? When you live it right, you are going to get double for your trouble, and the other person watching you is also going to get blessed. So that's going to be a triple on both you and them. Do it right and watch what God has in sight. I love you. See you next week. Bye-bye.